There's a question that follows small church pastors everywhere. You'll hear it at family dinners. You'll hear it in pastor conferences. You'll hear it from people who mean well, people who want to encourage you. The question is this: so how big is your church? It sounds innocent, but for a lot of pastors, that question lands like an accusation, because behind it, whether the person asking knows it or not, lies an assumption. The assumption is that the number answers something deeper. If the number is big enough, that means that things are going well. If the numbers are small, then something must be going wrong. Maybe the pastor isn't gifted enough, or maybe he isn't preaching good enough. Maybe the vision isn't big enough. The assumption is everywhere, and we simply have to call it what it is: a lie. I'm reminded of David in 1 Samuel 16. Saul had failed as king. God rejected him. And Samuel arrives. Jesse starts presenting his sons from the eldest down to almost the youngest. Samuel looked at Eliab and he thought, this must be the dude. This must be the next king. He had the look of a king, perhaps much as Saul did, who was rejected. But he was not. And Samuel took a look at all the rest. Eventually, he was at his wit's end and he said, do you have any more? Are these all of your sons? Jesse said, there's one out with the sheep, the youngest. I'm not saying that David was betrayed because he wasn't invited to the meeting. I'm not saying that David was neglected or that he was overlooked. I personally believe that David was where he was supposed to be. Where else would a shepherd be than with the sheep? As Samuel looked across these young men, he began to understand that God doesn't look on the outward appearance as we do, but he looks at the heart. And so once David was there, God chose him, not because David was the strongest, not because he was well-spoken, not because he was the smallest. And certainly it wasn't because God has this romantic attachment to things that are overlooked. God chose David because God saw something in him. God saw his heart. And that heart was the heart of a man who would be after God's own. But the point still lands. The one God was looking for wasn't in the lineup. He wasn't the impressive option. He was the one where he was supposed to be. He was the one with the sheep. Now, Pastor, I'm not going to make that story about you, no, but I do want to encourage you. I want to encourage you because I believe that you are the one who is still with the sheep. You're in the place where the shepherd is supposed to be. And I want to encourage you not to fall for a false scoreboard. God is not withholding his approval from you until your numbers rise or climb. His approval does not work like that. The scoreboard the world uses, things like attendance, budget, platform, influence, that was never designed by God. It was designed by the culture, because the culture can only see what's visible. And for some reason, the church has baptized it into Christian language, and we let it define who we are: the numbers, the programs, the events. God is not confused, and he never has been. He knows who he's chosen to shepherd the flock where you are right now. And here's the question you actually need to ask yourself. Not how big is my church, but what is God looking for in me? Because Samuel was asking the wrong question too when he walked into Jesse's house, looking for a king who looked like a king. I want to encourage you again, don't believe the lie. The question every small church pastor dreads doesn't have to be dreaded, because the answer that matters most isn't the number. The answer that matters most is this: I am where God has placed me. I am doing what God called me to do. I am doing it with everything that I have. And I want to tell you, my brother, that is enough. That is enough. I want to be the man who was out in that field. I want to be the man who was out with the sheep, who is called to be a shepherd and not an executive. And if you're pastoring a small church today, there's a good chance that you're that man too. Don't despise it. Don't apologize for it. Don't let anybody look down on you and make you feel small. God doesn't need your church to be impressive. He needs your church to be his.
I have read a lot of leadership books. This is not a leadership book. It is a book about faithfulness. That is different. Find it at derekbthomas.com.